What's going on, guys? This is Josh. Welcome to Treksplained. Here we talk about Star Trek and drink. Please like and subscribe after the video if you enjoy it. Now, without further ado, let me explain something to you. Living Witness is the 23rd episode of the 4th season of Star Trek Voyager. It is a Doctor-centric episode which has him show up on a planet 700 years removed from Voyager. It starts off with badass Captain Janeway saying diplomacy has failed, so war is needed. That's the Starfleet way. An ambassador for the Vascan people, Daleth, is trying to convince Janeway to wage war against the Kyrians so that they could get their land. In exchange, Voyager will get away home. Janeway demands all information on the Kyrians and the war. On the bridge, Operations Officer Neelix, yes, the cook, Neelix, is reporting on the Kyrian defenses. Janeway ordered biogenic weapons against the wishes of the Daleth. No half measures, though. Best way to affect a leader is by killing his people. She orders the doctor to prepare the biogenic weapons. In sickbay, the doctor is hooking up his android body to the ship in order to implement the orders. Wait a minute. Why is he an android? We know him as a hologram. What's going on? An aggressive-looking Voyager with way more gun emplacements begins firing on the planet. She's a true warship right now. Damn, baby. Voyager pauses mid-fire and a voiceover begins narration. The voiceover is being done by Koren, who we soon see. He states how Voyager's actions that day would have a lasting effect on the planet even today, 700 years later. After the credits, Koren explains to the people about the crew complement and how Voyager likely affected other cultures during their trip through the Delta Quadrant. They resume the simulation with a warning that it will be graphic and unsettling. Just my kind of simulation. The ambassador, Daleth, is again expressing concerns about how the battle is going, but Janeway continues the onslaught. In fact, she doubles it. The ambassador again expresses doubt, but Janeway has a Kazon ensign take him away to the brig. Don't worry, she'll let you know when it's over, Ambassador. Ensign Kim and Chakotay are beating a Kyrian prisoner in sickbay. Just tell us what we want to know, man. But he's stubbornly refusing. Chakotay, they pronounce it weird in the simulation, by the way. Chakotay instead of Chakotay. Chakotay tells the prisoner his people are enlightened and nonviolent. He's sad that he's getting his ass beat. Kim wants to beat him with a hyperspanner, but the doctor enters and says that would cause too much damage. The doctor infects the prisoner with a neural agent. It is a much more efficient way to bring the pain. Aw, how thoughtful, doctor. The chemical begins to dissolve the prisoner's optic nerves. Uh-oh. The pain will keep going and eventually liquefy his brain unless they answer where Tedrin is. That convinces the guy. He gives them the location, assuming he's telling the truth. Janeway orders Chakotay and Tuvok to go raid the compound and nab Tedrin. The Kyrians beam to the engine room and erect force fields so the soldiers can't get in. Janeway calls in the Borg. 7 of 9 and 3 other drones enter the engine room and successfully repel the Kyrians. She even assimilates some of them, with Janeway's approval. Kim reports to Janeway that Chakotay and Tuvok were successful on their way back with Tedrin. Janeway and crew bring Ambassador Daleth to a conference room with Tedrin and one of his aides. Janeway demands that Tedrin surrenders. He says no. Janeway kills his aide. Then she kills him. Daleth looks shocked. Back in the simulation room, Koren says 2 million Kyrians were slaughtered within days. Koren says to take a look around the exhibit in order to learn more. Thanks for watching. The group disperses. Later, Koren is walking around the exhibit and being a good caretaker when one of the Vascans begin questioning the record. But there's a new artifact just uncovered, and that'll show him in a bit. That evening, Koren has a small box and takes it into the simulation of the Voyager engine room. He begins recording himself while working on the device. He realizes that the device is a hologram. He activates the doctor. Koren is surprised that the doctor is not an android. The doctor demands an explanation. Again, Koren gasps that he's a hologram. The doctor says, "That I know." The doctor recognizes the EMH backup module, and that's how he's here now. Koren explains to the doctor that 700 years have passed, and Voyager and its crews are long gone and likely long dead. He calls the doctor a living witness to history. Ha! Living witness, name of the episode. The doctor runs away. He enters into the museum and realizes it's true. What's going to happen to him now? He might have to face charges. Charges for what? The doctor designed the bioweapons that killed 8 million Kyrians. What? He did nothing of the sort. Voyager isn't a warship. They were trying to get home to Mars. No, wait, Earth. The doctor demands to see what happened. What the Kyrian version is. The simulation continues with Koren and the doctor watching. It seems to be a past scene before the war. Tom and Chakotay disagree about the tactical plan and come to blows with each other. The doctor looks shocked, but also slightly amused. Janeway fires at a panel to break up the fight. She asks the simulation doctor to design biogenic weapons. Easy peasy, mon Capitan. Real doctor says it's absurd and pure fiction. He begins pointing out all the inconsistencies. Paris is the only thing they got right. Ha! Are you saying you didn't get involved in the conflict? Well, no. Voyager did, but it was nothing like that. The doctor begins talking about what really happened in that room. It was just trade negotiations with the Kyrian. It was just trade negotiations when the Kyrians attacked. They started attacking Voyager. They were the aggressors, not the Vaskins. They continue the recreation. It's the scene where Janeway shoots Tedrin. The doctor says that somewhere, hopefully halfway across the galaxy, Captain Janeway is spinning in her grave. The doctor again protests to Koren, and he says for the doctor to tell him his version of the events. Turns out, Tedrin led the attack on Voyager. Koren denies this, but the doctor was there. Koren is angry and begins to turn off the doctor, but the doctor says he can prove the historical events with the medical tricorder on display. But Koren turns the doctor off mid-sentence and says, "Lies." Later, Koren is dictating and claims the doctor was telling the truth, at least about one thing. He is a hologram, not an android. And if that's true, perhaps other historic events could be called into question. Koren goes back into the simulation, into sickbay, and activates the doctor again. They begin arguing a bit, but eventually Koren asks the doctor to help him get things right. The doctor asks for access to the holographic technology to create a recreation of his own. Later, Janeway is talking about sharing medical supplies with the Vaskin ambassador Daleth. They've got plenty of medical supplies. In exchange for dilithium. Daleth advises Janeway to make the exchange quickly, since they're in conflict with the Kyrians. Janeway calls sickbay and tells the doctor to gather the medical supplies for transport. Then, a red alert happens, and the Kyrians begin attacking them. Janeway asks for them to break off their attack. Janeway tries to leave, but 4 trespassers get into engineering. Tuvok heads there to resolve the situation. The Kyrians take prisoners and leave. Tuvok reports back to Janeway saying 7 of 9 and a few other crewmen are prisoner. Janeway and the doctor head their way with the ambassador to try to negotiate. Kyrians are in the mess hall. The doctor goes in to draw the fire, since he's impervious to phaser fire. How heroic. An aggressive negotiation takes place in the mess hall, and the ambassador kills Tedrin. The doctor freezes the program and explains how it was a tragic and needless death, but Voyager wasn't the cause. A group of Vaskins and Kyrians listen to the doctor's story. The Kyrian is against it, but the Vaskins seem to want to hear more. The doctor presents the medical tricorder and believes he can get the data out of it, proving that Tedrin was killed by a Vaskin weapon, not a Voyager one. A racist disagreement occurs, but they agree to a continuation of the investigation. The doctor and Koren are working on getting the data out of the medical tricorder. They talk about Voyager and whether they ever made it home. They both hope so. Koren would have made a fine member of the crew. An explosion occurs. The museum is being raided. They've heard about the hologram. The Doctor leaves the medical tricorder behind in order to save Koren. They later try to find it after it's safer. The Doctor says he's going to delete himself. Hopefully that will cancel out the need for war. But Koren argues that the Doctor needs to help them, or the racism could last another 700 years. In another simulation room, another tour guide explains how that event was a pivotal moment in their history. The Doctor's testimony opened a dialogue between the Karians and the Vaskins. They begin respecting each other. Koren died 6 years after the events, but lived long enough to witness the dawn of harmony, the peaceful future he helped usher in. The Doctor served as surgical chancellor for many years before eventually boarding a small craft and heading back home to Earth. Curious about what happened to Voyager and longing for home. That's all for today's episode. Thanks for watching Treksplained. If you liked today's video, please drop a like and subscribe so you get updates on new videos. See you next time on Treksplained.